As I trounced through the pebble beach, the sun was setting at my back. It was a humble, lone-birding sunset that you wouldn't find on any postcards. However, the subtle beauty filled me with high spirits. Seagulls were huddled on the small stone, watching the sea, while an arctic breeze tossed my hair and pressed me to button my camel hair coat. A short walk down the beach, there was a watchtower with a flat and conical roof perched atop a solid gray cliff. Nightshade was cast over the earth, and the light of the watchtower flicked on strangely, as if it were an old basement light with frayed wiring. I walked towards the cliff, quickly arriving at the base. I met with the 300 or so steps that climbed the rock face. I shrugged and climbed the steps patiently and tirelessly, with my eyes always on the next step. My legs felt the strain, but it didn't augment with each step as it should have. Pebbles often tumbled over the side, and the wind's howling was symmetric, more like a sound effect CD than an act of nature. I didn't look down until I arrived at the top, and even then it didn't spark a reaction in me, as if weakness and mortality no longer held any meaning. There was a porch of solid cement bordered by a black-painted railing. I climbed the 3 steps onto the porch and entered the watchtower's doorless entryway. Inside there was an anti-clockwise spiral staircase. There were just plain grades of cement within indecorous white walls, occasionally interrupted by narrow vertical windows. Even within the staircase, the wind shrilled, but it was only felt physically as a draft. I emerged into the main room, meeting with another sparse decor. From within, the room was square, with stone pillars at each corner and glass walls on each side. Central to the room was a man-sized light that cast a rotating bidirectional beam, like a lethargic ambulance light. The light was encased in a glass tube that stretched from floor to ceiling. It struck me full on the face, and I threw up my arms to protect my eyes. The light seemed to linger on my face, as if it were getting acquainted with me. Before my sight returned, I heard a sharp creak near the glass wall facing the sea. Through the blinding stars, I could see the vague outline of a man rising from his chair. A strong, white-haired voice called, "Come in, lad." After a second, I could make out 2 rocking chairs sitting beside each other, a human wingspan apart. They were turned inward 45 degrees so a person could face their companion and the sea. The old man was smoking a hand-carved pipe, and his tobacco smelled of burnt licorice. His left eye was kept narrower than his right, as if assessing the value of a precious gem, and his bearded chin protruded sharply outwards, giving him a passing resemblance to a pelican. Nearing him, I said, "Thank you, that was a long climb." "That is, he responded, rocking in his seat. "Were you expecting someone? I see you have an extra chair." "No, I weren't expecting no one in particulars." "Oh, okay." Puffing his pipe, he said, "Always happy to meet an old traveler. Someone passing by who wants to come and share the view." "It is a lovely view." "That is, There was a long pause between statements. "So, what is your job, really?" He sneered like I'd asked the color of the sky. He said, I'm the watcher." "Yes, I understand that, but what do your job responsibilities include?" First, I make sure no one crashes into the shore. If they make a landing, I'll help them here safely. And if they have other problems, I'll help them with those too. But mostly the ships don't come here. They'll see the light and steer away from it." "Huh. Not very many people come here then." "No, not many, no." "Have you been up here long?" "Indeed. I've been up here for ages. Eons, it seems." "Oh, I figured you had." The watcher moved his free hand from his knee to his upper thigh and inconspicuously started rubbing it. He ceased rocking, and leaning forward in his chair, he said hoarsely, "You know, it does get mighty lonely up here." I tensed up, grabbing the armrest and staring at the dark horizon. I cleared my throat loudly and suggested, "Then maybe you should get a pet." He sneered and leaned back again, rocking stiffly. "I do, I got a dog," he said. Pointing with the tip of his pipe, he said, "It's over there." In the corner there was a frighteningly ugly dog lying on its side. You couldn't place the breed, but its pointed snout and stumpy legs made it look more like a solid gray Tasmanian devil than a dog. Once my attention was on it, the beast snored audibly and continued doing so. "Mutt," the man called. "Wake up and come over here." Yeah, its head darted up and looked straight at me, purple eyes shimmering like the breast of a peacock. It cried once when it woke, then whined miserably as it hobbled towards us. The dog was nursing its right forepaw, tucking its leg inward to keep it from hitting the ground. The beast was obviously in a great deal of pain. When it had limped to my feet, the round-bodied dog sat down, resting the paw tentatively on the ground. "Mutt, say hello to our young friend." I leaned to pat its head, but suddenly the dog arched its neck, narrowed its eyes, and bared its many sharp teeth. I pulled my legs into my seat, nearly teetering over, and the gray dog growled at me and gave an accusing stare. The man jumped from his chair and swatted the dog's rump with the back of his hand, sending the dog yelping back into the corner. Despite its panic, the dog still lifted its forepaw, keenly aware of its pain. Forgive me for that. Usually a nice dog, but once in a while I get something up its craw. It's harmless, though, wouldn't really bite you." I heard a soft growl from the corner. "That's fine. He's just startled a bit, I guess. What's wrong with its paw?" "I can't really say. About 2 or 3 weeks ago, the damn thing started limping for no reason at all. And day by day, it started getting worse. Doesn't even like to put its foot on the ground no more. If you touch it, the dog screams. So I can't say what's wrong exactly. Maybe it's got bit by a crab or stung by a scorpion, and now it's gun-shy. Maybe you should send it to a therapist." "Yeah, could do, he said. We both turned to the view as clusters of stars lit in the sky and reflected in the sea, along with the waning crescent moon. The watchtower light struck us full on the back every half minute, for those moments nearly drowning us in light. After much delay, I thought about the foolishness of suggesting a pet therapist to a man who works in a watchtower. He probably agreed only to give the impression that he was a responsible owner. The social gap between us suddenly seemed too much to bridge. I leaned forward and lifted my right hand with the intention of shaking his hand goodbye, but he said, "Rest a while more, friend. Show is about to start." Taking my seat, I repeated, "Show?" "Late show, because today is some type of holiday." "Don't know what it's about, though." Don't have a mind to know either." I shrugged inwardly and continued rocking casually. If there was a show, it was a perfect place to watch, and I had no other destination in mind anyway. I didn't have to wait long. As soon as I decided to stay, a dark object no more than a spot snaked noiselessly across the sky above the sea. The firework burst against the aerial ceiling, a few violet sparks launching from the blast, and long purple tails extending from the guiding lights. The sound of the explosion came second later. There was a hard crackle of tiny whitish sparks inside the tail. The lead sparks fell softly like 5 illuminated snowflakes, while the sea gave a curved reflection of the purple sparks falling upwards, until they met and fizzled in a smoke that was too distant to see. "That was it?" I asked. The watcher grumbled, "No, more's coming." As promised, another one took flight, and then a series of fireworks zigzagged their way through the night sky. At different points and altitudes they burst, some going as far as the horizon, and others exploding loudly overhead. The beam of the lighthouse continued its fixed path across the sky. Its light swallowed the bright sparks wherever they met. There was fixedness about the fireworks too, as the exploding fireworks were not the multicolored array that you might expect, only purple, and they held 5 sparks apiece, looking like an amputee spider or the digits of a hand. It was no less beautiful for its limited palette, and the reproduced light burst within the sea brought a sense of unity to a display that would normally be explosive chaos. The old man said, "What do you think?" "It's nice. That is, It's not very colorful, though, is it?" He stopped rocking suddenly and took the pipe from his lips. What do you mean?" What do you mean, what do I mean? It's only one color. They're all purple. It's nice, though. Different, but nice. Yeah. The watcher leaned back, taking his eyes off me and replacing his pipe. He rocked a little more. I continued. You'd have to be very precise to get the same color and same number of sparks every time. It's almost pyromancy to make that happen. Pardon? I mean, it would almost take magic to stabilize the chaotic elements of a fiery explosion. I imagine the firework manufacturer must have been highly trained as a watchmaker in a past life to get that level of consistency. The old man sighed as if he were reading a newspaper and found the market share value of an investment had taken a marginal dip. He said, Boy, you're a mite, intellectual, and I don't understand a bloomin' thing you're saying, but you're alright. I'm just explaining that. The booming sky immediately silenced us, as the watcher stood and cut me off. Oh, and look at that, the show's over. No sense in talking more about it, is there? Now, I wonder, how did the fireworks get so far out from the shore? They couldn't have flown that distance, and there aren't any boats floating out there. And who lit them if you're alone in this place? The watcher closed his eyes as if he were stranded on a sailboat in the ocean and praying for wind. He arched his neck forward and puffed deeply from his pipe until it emitted a red glow. Holding the smoke in his lungs, he opened his eyes and rolled them towards me. As he relaxed his jaw, letting smoke rise from his mouth, there was a startling hiss and then a crash against his ceiling. The impact rocked the room and tossed me backwards from my chair, causing me to somersault into the central glass case, banging my head against it. Shocked, frantic, I looked up, and I saw a cracked charcoal black streak across the ceiling. I hurried to my feet, and fighting for breath, I looked at the old man, the ceiling, the old man, and the dog. The watcher didn't seem the least bit interested, while the dog stood, gazing curiously at me. It grunted and hobbled out of its corner. It followed a curved path between rocking chairs and came directly towards me in the center, stopping a few feet away. I locked eyes with the dog, which was now wagging its tail and seemed to be smiling as it rested its huge paw on the ignited firework that found its way into the room. With his back to us, the watcher laughed. My mistake. Guess their show wasn't quite over yet. I was breathing quickly, deciding whether to run, yell, or kick it away. But before I could act, the old man turned to us, pursed his lips softly, and said, Boom. On command, the tunnel appeared beneath us, swallowing myself, the dog, and the dormant explosive.